Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Tech Up Talks. We are so excited today to have 4 dynamos with us on digital transformation during this time of COVID. Today's program, during the program, if you have any questions, please write them in the chat box or the Q&A box, and we'll be answering questions at the end. Also, this will be recorded and available on our website. So feel free to go on as early as tonight and share with others. So today's program is digital transformation during this time of COVID, creating a permanent shift in the way technology is used, which we all can agree has probably changed more in the past 8 months than ever before. We are honored to have Shannon Platz, who's the Global Vice President of SAP Software Partner Success with us. A lot of you might have seen Shannon on our stage before. She is amazing. I feel like every time she's on our Tech Up for Women conference, we all learn so much on the digital side. So we're honored to have her back here as panel host, and I'm going to turn the program over to her. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dawn. First of all, when Dawn and I first started chatting, she said, would you be willing to do something virtual this year? And I said, of course. But I'd really rather turn it into a panel discussion because there is so much going on in so many different industries right now around digital transformation that to have just me reflect that from reading it or talking to people, it would be much, much more effective and exciting to hear it from people that are living it every day. So with that, I started thinking about and talking with a bunch of colleagues about what are some of the industries that are really being challenged during this time in ways that really could teach us a whole lot about adaptability and about opportunity. And so when we began speaking, we knew that there were 2 industries in particular that really had to adapt. And one was going to be transportation and supply chain. And Shelley Simpson is here with us from J.B. Hunt. She is the Chief Commercial Officer and President of their Highway Services Division. She's had a long-standing career with them in a variety of different positions, but now leads their product innovation area and will really specifically be able to talk about how technology has made such a difference in their adaptability. And one of the most obvious industries that has also been affected is the healthcare industry. And we have Vicki Laurie here as the Chief Innovation Officer at Tenet Healthcare. And she's going to be able to speak to us about the ways in which Tenet Healthcare and the healthcare industry overall has had to respond and adapt. And then joining us also is Camilla Dahlen. She's with SAP, specifically looking at the software industry and how the software industry has both had to step up to meet the challenges that our customers are facing, but also the ways in which innovation is really taking hold, utilizing software and innovating around it, and the different ideas that her partners are coming to the table with and saying, we've got to change the way we've done things, and here's the idea we have. How can SAP help us? How can technology really be a part of our answer to this? So let's get started. I think one of the things that we all recognize about this is that 2020 has been a very different year. And so when we were speaking, I said, I'd like to just pose the question to each of the panelists and, what has been your aha moment of 2020? Really, knowing that it could be personal, it could be professional, it could have been just something that you never saw coming and really didn't know how you'd respond. So I'm going to start with Vicki. Vicki, can you just share with us, one of your aha moments that you've had this year?
Sure. So as a reminder, hi everyone, by the way. As a reminder, I work in healthcare. So I had so many things coming at us at once that a couple things became apparent very quickly. Number one, we were all able to figure out really distinctly what was important, whether it was how to help patients, how to help healthcare perform better, how to make things happen we'd never made happen before, how to align our priorities between family and work because we're working at home for the first time. Everyone was distilled into that voice in their head and in their heart that said, I know what my priorities are. I know how to make things happen. And this is what's important in my life and my mission. So it became, so many things became obvious that it distilled the noise by itself because I had to rise to the challenge of how to help patients and providers, how to get familiar with technology that I fumbled around previously. So you just had to make it happen, and you did.
Yeah, great, thanks. It's so insightful to say what a galvanizing and crystallization of mission. That is something I'm going to take forward with me. What about you, Shelley?
Well, I think all of us, at least at some point in our career, and for me even now, have always dreamed about having some kind of job where I could work more from home and still be able to do so much overall. And that was really great in the beginning. And what my aha was how much we as a team missed being with each other, how important our work was with each other. And Vicki, I loved how you talked about mission because from a mission perspective, work for me is my mission field and what I feel called to do. And so to do that, I have to interact with people. Although I love doing video calls, it's so hard for me to connect in that way. And so when we really started talking with our team, we developed a flexible return to office plan that was voluntary. We wanted to protect people that were at risk in health or someone that had a childcare issue. And for the rest of us, which wound up being between 85 and 90%, we actually came up with a plan where we returned to the office in a social distancing way. And I was amazed. Today was our first day back in the office, and the buzz and the laughter, and it was just refreshing how much we still all love our flexibility. That's why it's a flexible return to office plan. But the collaboration and connectivity, it is a big aha for us as individuals, but also for our organization. So genuinely happy to be back together because we live life together. And I think it was great. It was like meeting with old friends again. So it was great.
That's exciting. Well, congratulations on that milestone. September 1st, it's hard to believe it's September 1st. I don't know if it is for anybody else, but with everything going on, that sense of normalcy, right? And that excitement is such a heartfelt, I think, desire for everyone. Camilla, what about you? Aha moments on your side.
Yeah, so thank you. For me, I've been a long time follower, I guess, of Stephen Covey. So I try to implement and follow the ways the things that he recommends. And I try to prioritize strategic things more than tactical things, but not nearly as much as I should. That became evident now because with the pandemic, I was able to put more of that into practice because there just weren't as many distractions. I usually travel quite a bit and there was no travel. So I had more time and just to really put aside these urgent things and spend time focusing on strategic topics. I think that was more valuable than I had realized and more necessary than I had realized. And it also, so the aha moment for me was realizing that, and I really need to do that more moving forward, even when things, start moving again. But also people around me and on my team, they were much more willing to think strategically and to make changes than I had thought, and maybe even more so during these uncertain times. You kind of think that during uncertain times they're going to hang on to what they know, but I didn't find that at all. I found that they were very embracing of new ideas and moving forward in strategic direction. So that was my aha moment.
And what a nice way to take on the idea of innovation, because it really requires that whole think out of the box, right? And embrace change. And to see that happen naturally for people is really, really an exciting thing. Well, listen, we want to talk about some of the specifics about what digital transformation has meant to you and your organizations. So I'm going to start off with Vicki. And what digital innovation did you make during this time with the pandemic that has had the most positive impact on your patients, your employees, your operations? Which area really, and I'd like to pose this to everybody. I'm going to start with Vicki. What was one of the most innovative things that digitally that you guys took on?
It was interesting because I was hired in Tenet as a chief innovation officer. So that's what I worked on, was our roadmap for innovation. And just like the rest of you, a lot of our innovation was deferred as we tried to get big boulders of day-to-day transformation out of the way. All of a sudden, when this hit, we transformed like crazy. So telehealth, that I'm sure everybody's familiar with, but we all of a sudden that sprang forward, and we have 3 platforms. So we have hospitals, we have individual providers and surgery centers, and telehealth took a spring forward. Chatbots took a spring forward because you didn't want a lot of people waiting in the same place. The other areas were just the digital transformation of handhelds. So we'd always had a priority of doing that, but we had never comprehended how important it was going to be for patients and their families when they weren't allowed in the room. So the ability to have families talk to their really severely ill COVID patients, to talk to their family members via a laptop was critical. So that moved that forward. And that's even aside from the Windows 365 and Teams rollout that we were kind of slow rolling with change management. All of a sudden, wham, it was here, and we learned it fast too. We were all, the adoption was through the roof, and I don't think that if we'd have had this driving force, but maybe, sorry to talk so much, but the biggest transformation we have different electronic medical record provider companies, different vendors, yeah. Cerner, Epic. They all worked together like you've never seen on how to address COVID. So we had conference calls, we had sharing of material. You never would have seen that before if we hadn't had this kind of event. So it kind of gives me chills that we had such collaboration between competitors. It was great.
Yeah, thank you. And first, I want to say thank you to all of, not just you and all of the colleagues you share and all the vendors, but, I don't think healthcare ever became as important on a day and minute by minute basis than it's ever been before. So to know that what you're sharing has really transformed the industry into a way that is moving humankind forward. Thank you for that. Thank you to all of you that are doing that. Shelley, what about you? What transformation, innovation have you and your colleagues at JB Hunt implemented that has really had that compelling effect in your operations or in your customer servicing capability or to your employees as a whole?
So I love what Vicki talked about from a collaboration with competitors, because we saw that exact same thing happen from a transportation perspective. So one of the things that we have, and we have been on a journey, is our digital freight platform. So thinking about matching shipments and capacity in real time, all in our what we call JBF 360. And inside that, when the pandemic hit, transportation got hit as hard or harder, particularly in March and April. And we had our competitors calling to say, hey, we have trucks that our customers are shut down. Is there anything that we can do, any work that you have for us? And it's our business is a big business, but most of us stay with our companies and in the industry for a very long time. So these were like friends that you wanted to help out. You recognize that these were drivers of families that were trying to transport America's goods. And so it was very easy for us to connect them to our platform, really from our mobile app or what was online. And that was really a great way for us to say, you know what, we were helping our customers, but we were helping our fellow drivers and fellow, even though it was a competitor, we really did something great for other people, which was important. I would say one of our very practical things that we moved up, Vicki, you talked about innovation gets pushed back. One of the old processes we have in transportation that really doesn't take anyone extremely smart to say something's wrong with this process is that we pass paperwork all day long. And so when we go pick up a shipment, we get bills from a customer, the bill of lading, and we take that, we sign for it, and then we transport it, and then at the end we get the signature, and then you have to mail that in to get paid, and it's this manual process across the board. Well, now think of when I say during COVID, we go to a customer and we hand over those bills or vice versa, the contact that's being made is very close. So we were able to implement in a very short period of time our electronic bill of lading, which really became contactless. And so for our drivers and our customers, employees at the shipping and receiving locations, we were able to do all of that electronically without anyone having to come within 6 feet of each other. So really protecting our people, but also protecting our customers. And so that was really a great innovation story for both us and the people that we do business with. We were excited about.
That is so exciting. And just to think, I mean, we're 6-7 months into this, and to be able to implement that so quickly, and especially not knowing what's coming around the corner, right? I mean, when we all started out, it was like, well, do we need face masks? Do we need that social distancing? Do we need all of that? So you didn't even know at the time you were innovating around that it would, the long-standing need for that was going to be so important. Fascinating. Camilla, from your standpoint, how, not only from a personal standpoint of seeing software evolve, but also innovations that you hear about all the time and working with the customers and partners that you have innovating, what are you seeing out there as a major change or innovation that's come to life during this time?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, this has been a time when the inefficiencies of the enterprise have become more obvious than before, and we haven't just let them go. We've really decided to focus on some of these. So from a partnering perspective, we've looked at how can we improve and simplify the interactions that we have with our partners and encourage relevant, purposeful innovation that is later made available to our customers. So as part of that, we've always had a path, but we've really accelerated the journey around establishing an ecosystem on our digital platform. And that's a complicated initiative, as you know, to take on. And it's got lots of different parts and stakeholders, from the actual platform to the selection criteria around the recruitment of partners, enablement of partners, management of the ecosystem, the app center where the partner applications are available, and all the resources and processes and program that surround that model to make it grow. But it's been great to see everyone has really come together and put a big effort in making that happen. As part of that, and as part of easing our interactions with our partners, we've implemented a progression journey for the partners. It's based on our SAP App Center, App Store as a marketplace and a primary destination for both our ecosystem and our customers. Focusing on our business transformation platform as being the key location for our partners to build out innovations and integrate into SAP applications and access our customers that way. So I think the concept of a digital ecosystem is beneficial across the board for our customers, our partners, and our employees as well. For our partners, it gives them a greater ability and greater guidance on where to innovate, how to innovate. And for our customers, it's greater access to what's available. And for our employees, just knowing that there are clear partnership guidelines, investment priorities in these programs, and just less friction between the different teams has been motivating for everybody here within the group as well. So
it's amazing how innovation can come from anywhere, right? And so having the ability to draw on, whether it's your competitors, whether it is, you know, folks who are frontline workers and they're seeing a need for something, and to be able to respond to that so quickly, and then that make that openly available to as many people who are challenged by the same thing is very exciting. And that idea of that community in the marketplace for innovation is really accelerating not only development, but accelerating access, which is fascinating. I'd like to talk about roadmaps. You guys spoke about roadmaps and how maybe in certain ways, the roadmap that you've been working on got topsy-turvy in all of this. In some cases, you had something on a roadmap, but maybe it got moved up or reshuffled the whole deck. I'd really like to talk to you about, as the leaders around innovation, how are you seeing your roadmaps evolve? What are some of the things that you're seeing and testing your roadmaps against now that you've had to deal with this kind of situation? And what does that mean as you look at the next 12 months, 18 months of innovation for you, and how you're drawing up the roadmap to serve the unpredictability of things that are coming? Shelley, why don't you start us off with that?
So, Shannon, in 2017, we committed to $500 million in technology spend, and we're on year 3 of that. And about a little over half of that was actually earmarked for disruption and innovation. And for an organization that's pretty structured in our P&L management and how we go about our final budget process, that was an interesting twist for us, a disruption even in our budgeting process, that we were going to let our customers and our vendors help gear us towards what innovation we really should take hold. COVID has further accelerated that for us. We have really solidified our commitment to that, and then some. Our customers have changed the priorities of some of the roadmap of some things that are very simple. It's amazing to me. I say this all the time. You know, we all could order a pizza and track it all the way to our doorstep and know when Domino's would ring our doorbell, almost waiting on the person. But yet in transportation for goods that are moving across America every single day, you actually can't do that. It's a very disconnected network. It's very fragmented. And it's because of the 3.5 million drivers, about 83% of those run for a carrier with less than 10 trucks. So think of the fragmentation, 1.5 million different carriers. That makes it very difficult. So we are working very hard on being more connected, more now than ever, because being at home, everyone wants to know what's going on in a moment's notice. So things like that have come front and center for us, but we're also focused on things that our customers and carriers really put on the roadmap for us first.
Great, thank you. I had no idea that there were that many drivers in the country, that it was so fragmented. That is fascinating. Vicki, what about you? How has this affected the roadmap? Is there a roadmap? I mean, I know there is, but some days it may not feel like what you laid out and what you're facing even looks familiar to one another. So
actually, it only helped.
Good.
Remember I said at the beginning, the big aha was distillation and focus. So our CIO, Palo Arbor, had always pushed a tight alignment with the business. And nothing brought it together, IS and the business together more than COVID did. So we were able, as we decided what would halt and what would go forward, what would accelerate, we all found a faster speed, efficiency, and mission by being more tightly aligned. So when we did get started and we're in the midst of 2021 through 2025 planning, we had already started revising our governance, setting priorities, evaluating budgets hand in hand with the business. So our roadmaps are aligned by our different portfolios, whether it's, you know, you've been in healthcare, all of us have been exposed to it. So you know about clinics and clinicians, and you know about imaging and x-rays. So we have it aligned by portfolio, and our stakeholders and our IS professionals are working together on that roadmap and aligning it on what is it going to take to run the business, transform the business, and create efficiencies so that we can invest more. and the whole company is speaking with the same kind of integrity and nomenclature, so that we're all familiar with what we're going through at the same time. And I haven't seen Tenet go through that before with such clarity. And COVID actually, in a kind of a tragic way, helped us align our mission and our focus.
Thank you. You brought up so many things there, you know, the governance model, the decision to halt things, right? Sometimes those can be such political discussions, right? Somebody has a sponsor, somebody is really focusing in on their own agenda. But it sounds like really in this time, with the roadmap as a guiding force, you were actually able to bring those stakeholders together to do faster collaboration, get everyone on the same page. So it served more than just a technology destination map. It really served as a galvanizing mechanism as well.
Yes, business and mission. Everything's aligned to the business and the mission.
That's fantastic, fantastic. So I want to build on that idea of the collaboration that you guys have all spoken of, and say, who was a stakeholder or a new participant in innovation during this time that maybe had not been as active a stakeholder in your win-win partnerships that you've seen that surprised you? Camilla, you have a good example of that, or one that maybe surprised you in terms of a new stakeholder community or participant in the innovation process?
I think, yeah, I think, you know, moments like these really force you to think about what is your real purpose here, and really focus on what's the vision of your company? How are we relevant? And kind of remove all other chatter and distractions and things like that. And I think we've been talking about this the whole time. So I would agree with what Shelley said earlier. There has been, in general, a greater collaboration between companies that just share that in common.